All right, there we go. Let's get our Facebook folks in here. We can start the show. Click that button. And we got the wheels spinning. Got a full house today. A lot of fun. Boom and boom. All right, guys. Welcome in, and gals. Welcome in. Welcome in. It's time for the War Room Round Table Brady Bunch episode here, I guess, with all our own little panels here. It is Building the Broncos, but this is Mile High Huddle, Huddle Up, whatever you want to call it. I am Nick Kendell, joined by Carl Dumler, Eric Trickle, Lance Sanderson, Dylan Von Arx, and Ron White. Today, we're going to be running our final War Room mock draft simulator here. No trades, I think, is probably the safest way to go. We can talk about it a little bit as it comes in, but this is still a stream, right? So we're not just going to run through it. This is interactive. So if anything pops up that you guys want to talk about, make sure you get the super chats in or any questions you have, and click the thumbs up and subscribe, because we're going to be here the entirety of the draft covering things here. And could it be exciting? Maybe for the Broncos. Trade up, trade down. We'll see. We got a wow react coming in from Phil McLaughlin over on the Facebook side of things. Appreciate you guys. But do want to say hello first and foremost. Carl, this is our time slot. We're being invaded right here. So I'm glad to see your facial hair is coming in nicely. Quick grower there on that front. How you doing?
I'm a grower. Wait, no, I can't say that.
Be careful. Yeah, be careful.
Yeah. No, it's good to see you all. Always love this episode. It's one of my favorites every single year, getting to talk about all the draft, do this actual draft. Most years, it seems like we've kind of not been lucky how the PFF board seems to fall. Like all of a sudden we have like the worst luck of who gets to fall. I think this year it's going to work out a little bit better. So excited to see how the Broncos do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to turn the randomness up a little bit just because I hate how it's always the same stuff. I'd rather have it like this guy probably won't be there. Well, you never know, right? There's injuries that happen. There's character stuff. Granted, we aren't privy to that, but teams' boards are going to vary greatly. So hello to Eric as well. I've been doing the morning shows with him. Hopefully I'm getting a little bit more sleep tonight than I did last night. So I'll be up and running. But how you doing, Eric?
Doing good. Excited to be here. Excited for the roundtable mock draft. And I'm a little disappointed in you, Nick. No mention about me trying to grow out the facial hair, but you acknowledge Carl's?
Carl's is easy to see. I'm dealing with a normal monitor here, so it's I can't really zoom in enough on that one, but it's great. And talking about more facial hair here, the whole bottom panel. Lance, good to see you, buddy. Always fun to do shows with you in draft time, man. We always have a good time covering the draft.
Absolutely, man. I'm just glad to be here on a wonderful Tuesday evening instead of a Friday evening. But this is one of my favorite episodes to do every single year, outside of just doing the live marathon coverage that we do. But excited to be here and glad to see you guys. It's good to talk to you guys in person, at least for now, anyways.
Yeah, absolutely. Virtually person. We've been doing this for a long time. Just make sure you're muted. If you're not, I'm the one who's notorious for talking while I'm muted, especially if I have a cold and muting it off and on. But we got Dylan in the house too. Dylan, how are you doing? What's good? It's been kind of peeling back the curtain. Dylan's been waking up early, as I have, to produce the show in the morning shows, which has been great. Having a little bit of help on the back end rather than trying to create content, read the chat, and make sure you guys are behaving. So Dylan, great to have you in here. How are you feeling?
Feeling great, man. You know, it's nice sitting in the background. I get to make jokes and snicker at you guys with whatever you say on the chat. And, you know, I've been watching you guys do this for a couple of years, and it's finally my turn to be on here. So just excited to get this thing going. Yeah,
Dylan, the voice for radio, face for TV, though. Good looking guy. He's coming for your good facial hair there, Carl. And of course, last but not least, Ron. Ron, man, it was so great to see you at the meet and greet. Hopefully all you guys can be there this upcoming year. How are you doing? How are you feeling with the draft? You excited? Do you have anybody that your heart is set on? Doesn't have to be a first round guy.
Yes, I'm excited. I am so happy to be here with you all. Looking forward to talking draft. Have a few favorite prospects. And yeah, I guess I have a little peach fuzz. I call it peach fuzz around here as far as the hair. Been trying to grow this part of it out for years, but I kind of gave up on that, I guess, a while ago. So it is what it is. But good to be here. Glad to be here.
I think if you like plug your nostrils and your ears and like blow really hard, it might like sprout out from there. But, I wouldn't recommend that. I think that might be rough. We got our guys. Like super chats here. Papa Bear. Good evening, Broncos country. Nick, Carl, Deacon Scott, MHH for life. Buckham 3 times. Denver Broncos for life. Let's go, Bo. I'm hoping for a draft miracle. Genty, man, a lot of buzz there. I'm gonna kick it to Ron. Ron, what do you feel about the Broncos' odds of trading up for Ashton Genty? Where do they have to go? Is it possible at all? I saw that I don't know how verified it was or valid the report was, but there's been talk of a Patriots-Bears trade in the works where the Patriots moving up to 4, or excuse me, the Bears moving up to 4 to get Genty. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. Low odds that they trade up. Just because, like you said, Nick, they have to get into that top 5 for him because there are mentions of Genty going to the top 5. I hope he does land before the Raiders pick, because that would just, be a knife through my heart, if that were the case. But yeah, such a phenomenal prospect, as we all know. But yeah, unfortunately, I just don't think it's gonna pan out for the Broncos as far as moving up.
And Eric, are you hearing anything about the Broncos potentially moving up? I think if he falls to 8 to 9, there's a chance, but the chances of Genty falling there right now seem slim. But it is lion season, right? It's 2 lies and a truth this time of year with everything. So any chance?
Yeah, I think if the Broncos are going to move up and they're looking at Genty, then I think that 9 is a spot to look for. With the connection with the Saints is obvious, and the Saints don't have a lot of ammunition and they want to move back, and they're making that very clear they would like to move back. So he would have to get there, but that range for Genty, it seems to be, if the Patriots do move down with that Bears trade, then 4 to 7, that seems to be where he's going. And it's hard to see him falling past that to get there. And there's a couple other guys that could still fall, Colson Loveland, Mason Graham potentially could fall back there, depending on what happens with Genty, that Denver could be interested in. There's been Ian Rappaport reported that they would look at moving up for a wide receiver, and Matthew Golden specifically. So there's a lot of smoke about but one thing about who for, but there seems to be a somewhat consensus that the Broncos are at least exploring that move up, which we should know. George Payton's talked about it every single year. They explore all options when it comes to the NFL draft.
As they should. We got Gary de Faberville, Canadian 279. Hello from up north there. Good to see you. We love our Canadians in here. Says, would you move up for Tyler Warren? Lance, Tyler Warren. I don't know if he's your tight end 1 or 2, but would you move up? My answer is yes, but I don't know if I'd be moving up into the top 10 for him. But if there's a slide, potentially. I think he'd be a fun player for Denver, even though I think his blocking is overstated. He's still a great prospect at the tight end position.
I'm right there with you. He's a top 10 selection, at least in my opinion, top 10 on my board, tight end number 1. Although I don't like moving up and trading future potential first-round picks to go and get either an Ashton Genty or a Tyler Warren, especially in this year's draft class. I mean, this tight end class is so good. You talked about Colson Loveland. You got Mason Taylor, Terrence Ferguson, Gunnar Helm. There's a handful of different players you can get at the tight end position. If he fell past the Colts at 14, for whatever reason, say, Colson Loveland and Tyler Warren both are falling, I would move up in that situation to get Tyler Warren, but not for Colson Loveland.
Yeah, Loveland's weird because the injuries, but we'll see what happens there with that. I mean, it just takes one team for a guy to go. So we got Casey coming in here, the supporter of the national champion, the Ohio State Buckeyes. He says, spicy move. The Broncos take Travion Henderson at 20. Then Denver makes a sneaky move back into the first round for Emeka Egbuka. Carl, is that something that speaks to you? First off, I want to ask, who comes off the board first? Travion Henderson or Emeka Egbuka? Putting you on the spot here. Thank you, Casey, for the $10 super.
I'm gonna say Henderson comes off the board first.
Wow. Okay.
I do think their late round 1, early round 2 is going to be a big run on running backs, especially when you watch, one of the best teams in football, Detroit, having their run game. Obviously, Henderson kind of reminds a lot of people of some of the things that Gibbs could do. I think Egbuka, he's liked by a lot of people, but I'm not sure he's one of those people that everybody's fallen in love with. And are you using a first round pick? I think he's going to be an early day 2 pick at this time. That's just kind of my feeling on him right now. And I mean, I love both players. I'd be willing to take Egbuka at 20, honestly, just because I think he'd be a perfect fit for what the Broncos need from the wide receiver position. I think he really fills out that room well, does all the things that the Broncos are missing at the wide receiver position. Henderson, I like him. That injury really worries me. So I'm just a little nervous about taking him at 20 with that injury history.
For those of you at home that took anatomy, there was the sesamoid bone in Henderson. There's so many bones in the foot, so that's a issue over multiple seasons for Henderson. And the Broncos brought in Henderson for a 30 visit, not a top 30 visit. My guess is it has to do completely with that foot, because there's not questions about Henderson's character. Tape is great too, but that foot, I don't know. Michael Ronquillo in the house. Good to see you. Good evening, Nick and Carl, with Lance, Ron, and Dylan on building the Broncos. Go, bro, Broncos. We also got Eric in here, of course, Michael. We want to include him. Of course, he's rocking the Hawaiian shirt. I know we like to do the collared shirts a lot of times for the draft shows. So the Hawaiian is feel like it's bridging the gap there. I love that. Joey Richards, it's probably Star Wars.
It is.
It is? Okay. Yep, I just see the shapes. Joey Richards, thanks for the awesome draft content. Yeah, shout out to Joey, Zach, all those Let's Talk Bronco guys. You guys do a great job. Appreciate you, Joey, coming in, hanging out with us, dropping the super chat too. That's very generous. Really do appreciate that. Yeah, I know that sometimes it feels like there's a little bit of peeing in the corners with some of the Broncos content people. I think there's enough good producers and interest to go around. So it's all love. And this is all love here. Thank you so much, Joey. Shiloh, my first War Room episode. Heck yeah. Stoked to hear everyone. Yeah, it can get a little off the rails sometimes, but we're going to do the best we can to keep it going here. Michael Ronquillo again. Oh, he said Eric with another super chat. See, he rectified it. I knew Michael would. Eric Flynn coming in, hanging out. Great to see you, Eric. Tim Hall, of all the likeliest guys there at 20, who would be the hardest for you to pass on for Hampton or Henderson? Man, so it's really hard to say, likely, right? I feel like after pick 7, it could be anybody falling there. I'm going to kick this one to Eric. I don't know if we've gone to Dylan here, but we'll get to Dylan in a second too. But who would be hard to pass on for you at 20 for the Broncos to take a guaranteed, 1 in the hand versus 2 in the bush at running back in Hampton or Henderson?
There's 4 guys, 3 of them defensive linemen. One of them, Walter Nolan, if they check out the character and he clears that, he's one that would be really hard to pass on. There's a lot of people believe who, if it wasn't for the character stuff, he would be a top 10 pick and the first defensive lineman drafted. Derek Harmon, there's been some late medical stuff with him. Kenneth Grant, he's another one. He's been dealing with a hamstring injury throughout the process. And then for wide receiver, I mean, if Tedero McMillan is there, that would be a tough one to really pass up on for Hampton or Henderson.
Yeah, what do you think, Dylan? I'm curious about your thoughts here. You've been hanging out, doing a lot of good stuff here in the background, listening to the wisdom that we bestow, but also you have some really good ideas too. So do you agree with Eric? Is there anybody else that would be really tough for you to bypass? Is there like a linebacker, a tight end, anybody else you got your eye on?
Yeah, I mostly agree there with Eric, especially when it comes to defensive line. That's a position that we're going to need to restock here next year. There's going to be quite a few departures, so got to keep that rotation tough. But the last name he mentioned, Tedero McMillan, I absolutely love. And I think given the chance, if he does somehow fall to 20, that he could be the guy for Sean Payton. Need another receiver because Cortland Sutton, he's pushing 30. He'll be 30 this season. Going to need a replacement there possibly. And quite frankly, I don't trust Troy Franklin. Is Devon Bailey going to develop into a number 2, number 1? I'm not so sure. So for me personally, I think McMillan's the guy there. Yeah,
for sure. It's interesting. I mean, again, 2 lies and a truth this time of year. Everybody in the media side of the NFL draft, Tedero McMillan falling down boards. Is he going to fall the way to 23 to the Packers, 22 Chargers? Well, here we are the day of the draft. His odds to go number 5 to the Jacksonville Jaguars have skyrocketed. Sounds like the New Orleans Saints are very much in line. Doesn't sound like he'd fall past the Cowboys at 12 either if he fell there. So it's kind of funny. You look back at the draft takes from not always before season because guys do fluctuate, but like Mykel Williams, Tedero McMillan. It's like, oh, these guys are falling. How far in the first they're going to fall? I wouldn't be shocked at all if they're top 10 picks just 48 hours from now. So thank you, Tim, so much for the super chat. We also got Phil coming in here. Good evening, guys. Too expensive to trade up for a running back, in my opinion. I feel there is plenty of good talent at running back. Do you guys think McMillan is possible at 20? I don't think McMillan's going to be there at 20, but it'd be great for the Broncos. What do you think, Lance?
I think that McMillan is one of those players that I think that I would trade up for if I was the Broncos. And there was a report talking about the Broncos potentially moving up in the draft to go and get a wide receiver. And the one, I believe it was Matthew Golden that was talked about. To me, Tedero McMillan is the guy that if you really want to move up and go get a guy, say 15, 16 overall, I'm comfortable with that. He's wide receiver 1 if you take out Travis Hunter in this class. And to me, yeah, Tedero McMillan with what he brings as a big power slot, a replacement for Cortland Sutton down the line, absolutely. I'd be willing to move up for him.
It would be awesome. We got a lot of people in the chat. Great to see you. Ernie wants Genty or Hampton. He wants that running back spot filled. Appreciate you. James is in the house. Great to see you, James, our own. We got Roy in the house, Adam Strange, our guy Michael Latsky out in Puerto Rico, DB, Broncos 1414. I see Chase Wellner is in the house too. You guys are killing it. I'm hoping to say hello to everybody I possibly can in here, but we got to keep this show rocking. Let's get into it, guys. So Broncos with the 20th overall pick, 20, 51, 85, 122, 191, 197, and 208. Right? Everybody has the numbers memorized, right? That's not just a weird Rain Man thing over here. So let's get into it. We got the Broncos. We're going to use the PFF simulator today. I did turn up the randomness, and bear with us, guys, while I pull it up on the screen because Lord knows what the StreamYard's going to do with us. Okay, producer, whoever's producing, let's push this to the bottom. There we go. All right. So let's rock and roll. I'll scroll in a little bit so you guys can see it a little better. Is that good? Good, you guys?
Perfect.
Yep.
Somebody give me the thumbs up. Okay, cool. Good. Yeah, we got DeAndre saying at 20, we're going to have options. That's great. Zach Seegers holds the door open from the too far away. That's great. Very fun. Appreciate the comments. I love the comedy in here. Let's get it rolling. So Broncos, no trades. This one, we're going to take time to work out each one. So here we are. Let's recap what's gone before. Pretty accurate. That's great. We got Cam Ward going 1, Travis Hunter 2, Mason Graham 3. That won't happen, but think about it in the aggregate. The guys that are off the board, I'm not really concerned about the exact fit. Tedero McMillan gone. Abdul Carter, Jalen Walker, Colston Loveland, Ashton Genty if he fell to 8. I'd be calling. Will Campbell, Kelvin Banks, Tyler Warren, Jihad Campbell, Josh Simmons, Michael Williams, Mike Green, Will Johnson, Jade Barron, Kenneth Grant, and Donovan Ezaraku. Overall, I think pretty good PFF. That's feasible to me. It does sound like there's going to be a lot of trades that happen tomorrow. That's not in here, but we're looking at the board now. Walter Nolan, Malachi Starks, Membu, that's the one who probably shouldn't be there. Luther Burden, Emeka Egbuka, Matthew Golden, Hampton, Zabel is interesting here. Shamar Stewart, the freakiest athlete in the class. I think that's probably about where, and Derek Harmon, way down here. So we're not going to do trades. No, we do have an offer from Texans with the board. I'd probably take that, or I would take any of these trades, honestly, but we're not going to do that today. Too much fun. First, I'm going to kick it to you, Carl. Who are you feeling here with the board the way it is? And I can scroll up and down where you want me to. Yeah.
No, you're good. I mean, the easy choice here for me, Walter Nolan. I know, like I said, there are those character concerns, but there's a chance he really is top 5, top 7 kind of prospect in this draft. Talent-wise, that's where he's at. And Broncos have a huge need there. I know not starter-wise, but still, you need depth, and you're going to need somebody down the road that can help take some snaps off the plate for some of these other players. He's great. I think he'd be surrounded by some really good players and coaches that I think can kind of rein him in. He's my easy choice here in the first.
Really interesting player. And I'm going to add a rule here. I'm just making it up as I go. So what's new? We can't take Trevion Henderson in the second round. If you're banking on, because the PFF, you can game it. You know where guys go. We can get Trevion Henderson in the second every single time. No, let's pretend he's gone here. So it would be awesome if we could get Walter Nolan and Trevion Henderson there. But we're going to assume that he's gone. So there we have one for Walter Nolan. What, Carl, real quick, why Walter Nolan over Derek Harmon? Derek Harmon's a little bit more versatile. He's bigger. I think he can actually 2-gap and play the run. And he doesn't have the character concerns. I know there's medical stuff, but that just changes team to team. Why? It's very much, it sounded like you were very, you believed it was very much Nolan over Harmon.
I just, again, the high upside, the guy that can just dominate games. I mean, there's plays where you just watch when he puts it all together, there's no stopping this guy. And if you can get that to be a little bit more consistent on the field, you might have yourself Chris Jones. And we've been talking about it for years that we'd love to have a Chris Jones type guy that can just dominate a game, make that game-changing play. And we haven't really had it. Thankfully, Zach Allen's kind of filling into that kind of position. But having another guy plus the edge guys, it makes way too much sense for me. I'm willing to take a chance. The Broncos are right on that edge of, playoff, now trying to go compete for Super Bowls. You need that game-changing guy on the defense, and I think he could be that for you.
All right, so one for Walter Nolan. He definitely has very high upside. The question is, what makes him tick? Kind of a mercenary guy. Played at like 6 different programs or 5 different programs in 6 years, which is kind of crazy. Some of that's COVID, but a little bit of chasing the bag. But if you can dial in there, man, he has, outside of Abdul Carter, he has the highest ceiling of any pass rusher in this class. Kicking it to Eric now. What do you think, Eric?
Yeah, I mean, with the fact the board fell this way, you have to have a slight conversation about Membao, especially with the contract situation of Mike McGlinchey. So if we want to really go off of what's there, then I think Membao is the easy choice. He is the best player that is left.
Let's
but
take
if we want to go with take him off,
yeah,
then I would go Derek Harmon or Walter Nolan. Either way is fine with me. I think they are both great players. I think there is more potential with Nolan than there is Harmon. Well, Harmon has that higher floor, and both of them have that one thing that's off the field. You have those medicals that have come up with Derek Harmon, and then you have the character stuff with Walter Nolan that's always been there. So either way, I'm good with. So Derek Harmon or Walter Nolan, whichever the rest of you want to go, I'm on board with one of those two.
All right, we're just going to go across the line here. Ron, oh man, we got clown choices here from Mile High Nugget. Well, if you're looking for just the running back or tight end, no matter what, or wide receiver, maybe Ron will want that one here. Let's see. But so far, it's you're very defensive line centric. Ron, what do you think? There are no wrong choices here in the simulator. Only in hindsight will there be wrong, but the process can be good. So what do you think? See, can't please everyone. Max wants trenches. So either way.
Yeah. Yeah, and the fact that Membao falls, I agree, Eric. He would be in that conversation. Also, Emeka Buka is a favorite of mine. Right outside of Travis Hunter and T-Mac. He's my third receiver in this class, third ranked receiver. But I'm going to go with Walter Nolan. I mean, you can't pass up on the athleticism, the high upside, the ceiling. I mean, just watching this film, he's just so explosive off the first step of the snap. Can really just dominate at the line of scrimmage. Natural leverage to get underneath some of those bigger guards. So I think just to have a nasty presence within the trenches that has a good motor, Walter Nolan's your pick.
Yeah, he's interesting, no doubt, and it's kind of fun. It's he was thought about really high. Like at the end of the season, you see like Walter Nolan's 20 best plays, and they're like, "Oh my God, they're good as anybody." But then you watch a full game, and it's like he's Caspering out there. Where'd he go? Put the sheet over him. He's a ghost. Disappeared. But coaches a lot of times, show me your best plays. If I've seen it once on film, that means it's in there, and his top is as good as it gets. So Dylan, where are you at? Anybody else? Are we thinking running back at all? I mean, Henderson or Hampton? I think if the board did fall this way, and I know we're not going to do trades in here, but I'm thinking back to Kay Adams' show where it was before the Super Bowl. She had Sean Payton on with Cam Jordan and Mark Ingram. And the plan in that draft was to take Mark Ingram at 24. Well, a defensive lineman that they thought was way too good to pass fell, and they took him. And guess what they did? They traded a future first, a second-round pick to move back up to go get their running back. It could be Henderson. It could be Hampton. If the Broncos are willing to try to trade up into the first round to try to secure Genty, I could see them giving up a future first plus 51 on top of a defensive lineman that they love, first-round grade caliber at 20. So where are you at, Dylan? Oh, with this one, now that I kind of, little history on there for Sean Payton and what they've done in the past with the defensive line and then going back for that running back.
I'll be a little different, but I'm sticking to defensive line. I'm going to go with Derek Harmon out of Oregon. I think he's a very versatile defensive lineman, and we need versatility. We need just bodies in general in defensive line. There's no reason Zach Allen should be getting 1 million snaps a year. He's going to break down, and we're about to extend this guy. We don't want him breaking down. He's a guy who's going to help us make playoff pushes and whatnot. So, like I said, I like Derek Harmon's versatility. He can hold up in the run game pretty well. And he's got a variety of pass rush moves from that interior that we just don't have, and you're going to have to replace John Franklin Meyer because it seems more than likely he's might not be back here. So Derek Harmon is going to be the guy for me here at 20. Defensive
line. We got David Kilgore saying the Broncos should move up for Genty. David, thank you so much for the $10 super. Excuse me. If he falls to 8 or 9, I'm in. I'd trade up 151 even a future one. Gosh, that makes me queasy. The Nick of 3 years ago would, slap me. But Genty's special in this team's build is ready to take advantage of that guy. So I'm with you. It doesn't sound like that's feasible, but the Broncos have called. That's what Albert Breer said, at least. So Lance, last but definitely not least. Where are you thinking here?
Well, to me, Derek Harmon is defensive tackle 2 in this class, top 15 pick. I think Walter Nolan with some character concerns falls down the board a little bit to me, but also a big thing for me is versatility. A guy that can play the 0 technique in pass rush situations, can play the 3 if you need him to, can play all the way outside to a 7 if you want him to. You line him up all over the interior of this defensive line. To me, that's more versatile than what Walter Nolan does, who is specifically a 3 or 4 eye, maybe a 5 technique for you. I also want to give a shout out. I know that we're getting short on time here, but Malachi Starks is a huge option for me here. Even with the Broncos bringing in Talanoa Hufanga, I mean, you need a guy on the back end of this defense that can play the post safety, and Malachi Starks at least brings that range to it. And this is a steal for me. Malachi Starks is a top 15 player on this board for me, and I think that we should at least give that type of an avenue at least a little bit of discussion. But to me, it's Derek Harmon or Walter Nolan. Either one of those guys is fine with me.
Yeah, absolutely. And EA Shalom says, Nick, would you allow a trade up in the second for Henderson? Not today. Join Eric and I tomorrow morning. We'll have a little bit more leeway to mess around with trade up scenarios and whatnot. But we got to keep the ball rolling. So I think it was 2 Nolan, 2 Harmon, and then a half from Eric. So Eric, I'm typically the split here. I want to put you on the spot here. You have to vote for one.
Just because the upside for it. And I think that when you look at the 2 and you look at the status of the rosters, they have to extend Zach Allen with the way his contract voids, the dead money. They have to do it. John Frankenmeyers, they can move out of. There's been some chatter going around about them trying to trade him this weekend. Walter Nolan replaces John Frankenmeyers. Derek Harmon is more of what you get out of Zach Allen. Walter Nolan would be the pick.
And the Broncos have done work on him. They had him in. That doesn't necessarily mean they will take him, but they're checking in the background, no doubt. So we'll see what happens. I think if the board did fall like this, I'd expect the Broncos to be aggressive with pick 51, future capital 85 to go get a running back, especially since there's probably 3 to 5 on the board that they still would probably like in that spot, in that range. Probably getting ahead of, it depends on where Genty and Hampton come off the board earlier, but want to jump the Bears, want to jump the Raiders as well. Those are the ones you want to look out for. David Carmelo in the house says Lance Zierlein compared Walter Nolan to John Franklin Myers. Actually, it's kind of funny. I was listening to the Move the Sticks podcast with Bucky Brooks and Lance Zierlein, and Lance said he wish he could go back and improve Walter Nolan's grade. He says he's a top 6 player in the class and obviously more talented than Mason Graham. It's just that some of the character, it's not even like he's a bad person. It's just like what makes him tick, right? Like it's like in the, not in the weight room necessarily, but like the film room and like in practice, it's like, okay, what's going on here? And then the 4 seconds the play has happened, it's like, oh my God, this guy's possessed. So got to figure out what makes him tick. But he said that he's obviously the second highest upside pass rusher in the class besides, well, I guess third, because he did throw out Shamar Stewart as well, who is my highest rated guy on the board. And that there, I am who I am. I won't fight it. I love the athletes. Max coming into Canadian dollars. Thank you very much. I think they're called Moosaroos. Thank you so much, Max. Hope you're doing well. We're on the clock again here for the Broncos. Let's see if how many running backs have come off the board here. Marion Hampton went to the Rams. That's fun. Malachi Starks, Harmon to the Vikings. That's a good one as well. Egbuka to the Commanders. Very fun. Shadur Sanders comes off the board. Travion Henderson. See, he is gone. Mason Taylor went off the board there. That's one. I think if the Broncos are interested in Taylor because they get a running back earlier, probably have to jump the Jets depending on what happens with Warren and that one. There goes Shamar Stewart. Second round. That's a get. So here we are, 51. Kevin Winston Jr., Omar Norman Lott, probably off the board with those 3 techniques now. Elokeo Manor, Jack Besh, Tyleik Williams, still some defensive line. Darius Alexander, Cam Scatterby a little early for me. Dylan Sampson, like him a lot. Caleb Johnson makes sense. Quinshon Judkins is there as well. I'd be happy with Quinshon Judkins here. I think he's probably my next highest back. But we'll go reverse order this time. Lance, where are you leaning?
I really, really, really like your guy from the Iowa Hawkeyes, Caleb Johnson here to this Broncos offense. Can run inside zone very well. Outside zone is obviously the big flavor there at Iowa, but this last season they did run a lot of inside zone, a lot of duo, and he showed the vision. He showed the burst. He showed the contact balance to get through the hole. He showed the explosiveness on the back end runs. He showed at least some decent pass catching ability when they did try to throw him the football. There's some projection here for sure, but to me, Caleb Johnson is running back 3 on my board, right after Ashton Genty and Travion Henderson. Caleb Johnson, number 3, and then Quinshon Judkins, number 4. So I would go with Caleb Johnson here.
Caleb Johnson. We got a call for Caleb Johnson. Doug can't believe we passed on Hampton. We'll see what happens in reality there. You might be right, Doug, kind of like you were with Knicks last season, but that's what seems to be the writing on the wall, but things can change. Also, it's just different with when you have a quarterback. Speaking of Iowa, Ben Utes coming in here. I know where this is at. He says currently at Stella's in Iowa City, right next to Kinnick, having a beer. All I got to say is Hampton in the first would be a mistake. Keep it simple. Draft Igbuka or Mikel. I'd be happy with either of them. I think Mikel's going to go top 10, but he'd be amazing. I don't know. He's kind of feels like the Broncos taking Bradley Chubb. Like he's probably best as a 7 technique, but he can play wide 9. I think he can stand up and reduce down to 4-eye as well. So I like him a lot. We have a vote for Caleb Johnson from Iowa. Let's kick it over to Dylan now. Are we thinking running back, or is there somebody else who stands out?
Someone else here stands out to me quite a bit, actually, and I know the chat's not going to love me not going after running back after we skipped it in the first round, but Jack Besh out of TCU is a very intriguing player to me. Played tight end and wide receiver, very physical in the slot. He's a great blocker, and I feel like he would not only elevate the pass game and be kind of a safety valve for Bo Nix, but also help in the run game. He's a great blocker as well. I just don't trust his wide receiver room. I know there's a lot of fans who are holding out hope for Troy Franklin. I'm not one of them. I do like Vele. Is he going to develop? It's just I'm very uncertain there. And with how good this running back class is, I know we're seeing guys come off the board here, but Jack Besh is going to be where I'm looking to go.
I love Jack Besh, so I would not fight you at all for that. I do wonder if him and Evan Ingram overlap a lot, but Evan Ingram's 2-year contract plus 1 doesn't keep me from drafting Jack Besh. So Ron, where are you at? So far we got a split.
Yeah, I like Jack Besh a lot. I also like LA Banner. I would also consider those, but I'm going running back. I'm going my man, Dylan Sampson. I'm a big Dylan Sampson guy. Just exceptional burst. The vision is awesome. The decision making is great as well. And he just has that short area quickness and light feet that I like when kind of running through those holes. So, yep, give me Dylan Sampson all day here.
And, the consensus seems to be Omarion Hampton, the second back in the class, but Broncos' own Jeff Legwold had Sampson over Omarion Hampton in his rankings, as Sampson is number 3 back. Sampson, I think, is a very good fit. Now, granted, it's hard to project him to the NFL because of the Josh Heupel make-believe offense that they run there in Tennessee. I'm excited to see what Nico can do at UCLA this upcoming season now that he's leaving Tennessee. But yeah, Dylan Sampson is really freaking good. He'd have been the number 1 running back last season. I know he's a little bit small, but he does not run small. So I'm with you. I think I like Judkins more than Sampson, but it's not by a lot. And this is coming from me as an Iowa guy. Like, I love Caleb Johnson. I think he's a little bit better zone scheme than gap. I wish he had a little bit more giddy up, and I have questions in the pass game, but love him. Speaking of love, Boss Man says Jack Besh forever, but Sampson is one of my draft crushes. Yeah, and Sampson does not keep you from adding another running back later. So let's keep it going here. Eric, where are you at?
Yeah, I'm going to do the same thing I did for the first one. Dylan Sampson or Caleb Johnson, either way, I'm fine with it. That is my number 2 back, and Caleb Johnson, my number 3 in Dylan Sampson. They both work for what the Broncos are looking for. A lot of people look at Dylan Sampson's size at 5'10", 200 pounds and think that he's only an outside guy, can't run between the tackles. Yet he was the most efficient running back in college football last year in short yardage situations. And his vision is off the charts, probably, top 3 in this class for running backs with his vision. You just see things differently. He's small already, and he can make himself smaller. He's got good explosiveness. The long speed's all right. It's not ideal for somebody that size. And I absolutely love him. He gets crapped on for his receiving ability, but so does Caleb Johnson. But both of them have shown the ability to do more, and you shouldn't hold the fact that the offensive system they played at in college didn't use them as a receiver. You shouldn't lay that at their feet and say that they can't do it. They've shown they can.
Yeah, I'm with you. The one thing I will push back on with Caleb Johnson is that he was rough at Iowa's Pro Day in the receiving drills. A lot of drops, a lot of, two left hand kind of thing going on there. So again, hurts me to say as an Iowa fan, I love Caleb, and if they took him here, I'd be excited. But there are questions in from the Iowa program as well as Caleb Johnson in the pass game. Carl, last guy here, but not least, of course. Maybe poke your head up a little bit. You're a little bit low. What's going on there?
I don't know why my camera when we go down to this lower screen, it really changes how I look here. But no, I'm going Caleb Johnson. I've really loved his game. I think especially when you look at Iowa, they had nothing else. I'm sorry, Nick. I know, but you know that
the offensive line was very good this year.
They were.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's pretty much everybody and their dog knows Caleb Johnson's getting the ball, and he still had some of the most explosive plays in all of college football. He consistently was turning them out. And I know you say you should go to a zone scheme, but the Broncos run a zone scheme most of the time. Like they were heavy towards zone compared to gap this past year. So I do think he would be a really good fit. I think he can do all right in the passing game. I still think you can get a passing running back later on. And the Broncos have a couple guys that are not terrible in that position if you need them to, if you don't go. And I know you've talked about it. I think you were talking about it on Twitter earlier. Broncos could be trading for a running back. There's some guys out there, Breece Hall, Kenneth from Seattle. There's a few names that are going to be available draft night that could be a big part of that, where Caleb Johnson does the dirty work in the trenches, makes teams have to really make a decision. Are we loading up the box to stop him? Are we dropping back because we've got, these receiving options? What are we doing against the Broncos? So I'll take Caleb Johnson.
All right. Well, that would make Caleb Johnson the pick here. So there's no argument on that one. The Broncos guy see the Hawkeye logo. I'm like, oh my gosh, which one am I talking about here? My two favorites, but Caleb Johnson. So the Broncos do get a running back after pairing with Walter Nolan earlier. They get a early down back. I'll tell you whose seat's a little hot with the drafting of Caleb Johnson is Audric Estime. Buddy, your snaps are limited here. Broncos still looking for maybe a third down back, all the same. So we're on the clock here with 85. We got a linebacker, Demetrius Knight here. We got Shamar Turner as well. Marcus Bow, an interesting one. Jared Wilson, if you wanted to add a center. I know Vernon Broughton's out there. We got a lot of DJ Giddens still. Ashton Gelati is a really interesting player. Savion Williams. Harold Fannin Jr. I think 85 is probably where the conversation starts for Harold Fannin Jr. We haven't taken a nose yet. We could go Jamari Caldwell. I love Jacob Parrish a lot. Danny Stutzman also is interesting here. Torrey Horton is a fine player at this spot. So what are you guys thinking? Let's kick it off to Eric first this time.
I mean, I think you touched on it a little bit. You kind of have to have that conversation about Harold Fannin Jr., but I still think that you can wait a little bit for it. We already went defensive line, and even though Jordan Phillips is a little bit different from that, I wouldn't go that way either. It's tough with how this board fell, but with my views on him, Demetrius Knight is actually where I would look at. We don't know what Alex Singleton's going to bring this next season. He's coming off that injury. He's in the final year of his contract. Demetrius Knight could be that guy to come in and develop to replace Alex Singleton, and if he gets things down quickly, he could replace Alex Singleton this year, and the Broncos can cut Singleton and save some money. I don't think that would be, a very plausible, outcome of it, but it's still, that possibility for the Broncos to save some money. So Demetrius Knight, for the first time, I'm going to give my one guy on this one and go with Knight.
All right. Awesome. I like Knight. I think I featured him at pick 85 in my first 3-round mock for the Broncos. So a shout out to that one. It was Ashton Genty, Darius Alexander, and Demetrius Knight. Ron, you're up, buddy. I've loved hearing what you have to say. What are you thinking here? Pick 85.
Knight is an interesting option. I was either thinking maybe the wide receiver combo starts. I saw Torrey Horton. Actually, can you filter my wide receivers again, Nick? Ooh. I think that might be a little too rich for my guy, but Teasla's my guy. I still might be a little too early now, but I'll say Fannin. So I'm gonna go Fannin with this pick. I think that conversation with Fannin. I was looking for Ferguson, but it looks like he's gone. But I'll say Fannin. I think this is maybe the round they start to look at tight end. And I know with Fannin, he was kind of the focus of that Bowling Green offense. You can line him up at H-back as well. And he catches everything. I think his blocking is good enough. So I'll pick Fannin here.
All right. Dylan, where are we at? We got one for Demetrius Knight and one for Fannin.
Oh man, I don't know what Alex Singleton's going to look like coming off that injury. Greenlaw, while amazing, also has dealt with injury. I think I'm going to have to go Demetrius Knight here. Got good size. He's quick. Played, I believe, extensive amounts of special teams as well, so you can have him get some reps there while he develops. But you do need that developmental linebacker. I don't know that I really trust Drew Sanders. I know we haven't seen much of him, but I'm just not willing to bet on him stepping in and making a big impact anytime soon. So for me, it's got to be Demetrius Knight.
Yeah, pick 85. Ferguson has already gone. I see some people in the chat saying that. Lance, I'm going to ask you, put you on the spot here a little bit. So Demetrius Knight is number one here. If we're talking linebackers, is there any thought for Danny Stutzman? He tested very well. He plays like a maniac out there, him and Billy Bowman for that Brent Venables defense. I wouldn't be shocked at all if Stutzman came off the board before Knight when the actual draft is rolling.
When I watched Danny Stutzman, I felt like he got caught out of position and got overrun by blockers too often, and that was a big problem for me. And while I think the same thing about Demetrius Knight, I think there's some more upside. He's more fluid in his lower half, and he's a much better tackler, at least in my opinion. There's some angular issues you have with Demetrius Knight, but I think that's probably the direction that I would go in here, especially since Terrence Ferguson, the guy that I really like a lot, is already off the board. To me, it's Demetrius Knight all day.
All right. Did we get Dylan already? Dylan, what was yours? Was yours Knight as well?
Yep. Knight. Yes.
Okay. So we got 3 Knights. This is ceremonious here, Carl, but what are you thinking?
So I'll just say something different because I really love this player. I don't think the Broncos would go this way, but Restrepo at wide receiver.
Too early. Sorry. Poor
I know, but I love this guy.
Yeah.
I'm a route runner guy. And Sean Payton, when he talks about the triangle over the middle of the field, that you have to be able to attack that area. You got Evan Ingram, now we got Caleb Johnson that can kind of help there. I mean, not much in the receiving option, but we don't really have a wide receiver that's going to be a big guy in that area. We've got deep guys that can win over the top. We got Cortland Sutton that can kind of do a little bit of everything. You need that guy that can consistently win over the middle. And Restrepo, I know he didn't test well, but the guy gets open. Mm-hmm. I care more about the tape than I ever do the testing. And I know he was a little bit banged up before he ever did the testing. So I'm going to throw a little bit of that out. And the separation scores, they're second to none in this draft.
All right. Well, it's going to be Demetrius Knight. I would have voted for Jacob Parrish. Riley Moss has been really injured. I absolutely love Jacob Parrish. He is an absolute freaking dog. Good frame still, like 190, 195. I'm not worried about that. And if you want a man corner, I think he's got tremendous upside. So pushing Moss, pushing McMillan, inside, outside, man ability. I love Jacob Parrish. But we're going to go Demetrius Knight here. Go ahead.
Can I interject really quickly because you asked me specifically about Danny Stutzman and Demetrius Knight?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Jacob Parrish is the guy that I had eyes on here, quite honestly, because the inside-outside versatility, the physicality that he brings in press man. There's some issues with some tackling in space, but at the same time, he brings physicality that to me really matches well with what Van Joseph likes from his cornerbacks. And you can also move him to the nickel and move on from Jaquan McMillan in a couple of years if you wanted to do that. You really upgrade the secondary in this position. I'll stick with the Knight pick here because I said Knight first, but Jacob Parrish is really who I wanted to talk about.
Well, awesome. I'm just gonna executive rule. Sorry, guys, we're taking. No, I'm just kidding. But really do like Parrish, and I think he'd be a good fit for the Broncos here, specifically with this scheme. So we've taken so far our picks as we recap it. Our day 1 and day 2: Walter Nolan, Caleb Johnson, Demetrius Knight. Well, guys, I think this one might be easy for us, and I think we should probably just make it easy overall. Harold Fannin's here. We can talk about some other options, of course. Jonas Sanker is great. Gunnar Helm is also great. Wouldn't be upset about Billy Bowman, David Walker, Jeffrey Bossa. We already took a linebacker. A lot of fun ones here. Jalen Reed's good. Joshua Farmer, Justin Wally, Jaden Blue pairs awesome with Caleb Johnson, although he's got the fumble issues. But
Fumbles, yeah.
Is it Harold Fannin, right? Is it Fannin here, right, guys?
Yes.
Objection? Anybody else?
I would go Helm. I would go Helm
Yeah.
because the inline versatility here, but Fannin's fine with me.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do it. Maybe he'll end up an H-back in the league, but I'll tell you, there's very few people in the NFL I trust to maximize somebody like Harold Fannin more than Sean Payton. And with how much quick pass stuff and a little bit of getting the ball out quickly that you see from Bo Nix, Fannin would work here. I think 85 is a little rich. Later round 3, early round 4, heck yes. So here we are. Broncos, 3 6-round picks. This starts to get a little bit longer here. I'll start scrolling. Dylan Gabriel, Quinn Ewers, Andrew Armstrong, Marcus Harris, Deion Walker, falling all the way to the 6th round. Shamar James is great. Jake Brenningstool will be awesome. Upton Stout, Connor Colby, Tyler Cooper, Cody Simon makes sense here. Zah Frazier. I like Keandre Lambert-Smith, Jake Majors, Tootin, Marcus Yarns, Jordan James. I got a lot of running backs still available. Eric, what are you thinking?
I'll give you the 3 since we have 3 picks here. Upton Stout with one of them, Andrew Armstrong, the wide receiver, for one of them, and Marcus Yarns for the third. Those 3 would be the 3 guys that I'm looking at for these next 3 picks.
All right. What do you think, Ron?
Armstrong. I have Andrew Armstrong as my pick here. And I just recently got onto him, kind of watching this film, and yeah, he's good. So my pick here, I think this is kind of where you would start to look at receiver. But yeah, I would say Armstrong here.
All right. What do you think, Lance?
So Armstrong's one. I really like Jake's Brenningstool, which is why I was like, okay to pass up on Harold Fannin Jr. and bring in a Gunnar Helm earlier, because Brenningstool, I think, brings a lot to what Fannin does, but just more physical. What do the cornerbacks look like, Nick? If you could bring cornerback for me, I'd like to take a look at that.
Corey Black, Zah Frazier.
Zah Frazier is one that makes a lot of sense for the Broncos. Long physical cornerback. I like him in man coverage. That would be an option for me here. I'll go Andrew Armstrong though. I like him.
All right, Dylan, my guy. What are you thinking here?
Ooh, it's between Armstrong and Marcus Yarns. I think I could go either way. I do like Armstrong quite a bit. Obviously, you're not going to get a whole lot of production in the Arkansas offense, as you kind of see with T-Slaw as well. I do like the receiving ability of Marcus Yarns, though that really intrigues me. But if I had to pick one, I think I'm going to go with Armstrong here.
Armstrong. All right. Well, it seems like it's going to be Armstrong. We have heard from everybody but Carl on this one. Carl, are you okay with the wide receiver here? But first, Mike Gibbons, 1999. Thank you so much, Mike. We appreciate you. This would make Benjamin Albright correct. The Broncos looking at wide receiver, but late, round 6. I think Zach Stevens said that a lot as well, and it makes sense for where the Broncos are at. Armstrong, one thing about him is no special team snaps, which if you're drafting a special teams or a late wide receiver, then that's kind of difficult. But he's got X upside, so that's valuable in this scheme. So where are you at, Carl?
Yeah, I'm fine with that pick. The only thing there again is he's 24.
Yep.
So would we have like the young or the oldest rookie contract wide receivers in the NFL? I mean, it makes it where, sometimes that means they're ready to go. So I'm good with this. He's got the size. He's got the ability to play that X position, like you said, here in a couple of years. He's not the greatest separator in the world, but he does have good hands and goal line situations. I think he could be an immediate impact for you. So I'm good with that.
All right. Well, my guy would have been, I think I would have taken Deion Walker, honestly, just because he's such a rare type. And his tape 2 years ago was pretty good still. And I just think he's so rare, like 6th round. Your odds of hitting in the 6th round are nothing anyway. So just give me the rare athlete there, a rare body type, but I am totally fine with Armstrong. He is somebody who's a very physical player. If this will actually work for me, there we go. So we've taken a wide receiver on the board again. We still have Shamar James, add some talent there. Jake Briningstool, I wouldn't be against it. Upton Stout. We probably do want to take another running back still, all the same. I did see we had Marcus Yarns here, but I also later on we had LaQuint Allen was available down here, and Marks from USC. Both really good pass catching backs, all the same. So what do you think, Eric?
Upton Stout. Don't let the fact that he's labeled as a safety on Pro Football Focus fool you. He's actually a corner. He can be a nickel corner, and that's where the Broncos really need to upgrade over with the concerns of Jaquan McMillan. He was great in man coverage. Man coverage is far more volatile than zone. Upton Stout is a natural zone corner who can play man. I think he's a better fit. You get him on that rookie contract when you're looking at McMillan as being a restricted free agent after the season, so you can get one more year of cost and control out of him. I'm all aboard on Upton Stout, who is just one of my dudes. Smaller, but he absolutely gives it 200% every single snap.
5'9", 182. Feisty, the word they have there. So that stands out. Anybody you're thinking about here, Lance?
Stout makes sense. I haven't got a chance to really take a look at him. I still like Za Frazier with the length, the physicality. There's some stickiness in his hips, and yeah, I like him in zone. I like him in man too, but probably better in zone. That makes a lot of sense to me. I also want to go to the interior defensive line where we haven't got a chance to talk about Zeke Biggers out of Georgia Tech. A guy that's just a mauler in the run game, but also has really good length, and a guy that could be a potential pass rush option for you. A guy that if he could actually utilize those 34.5-inch arms and the 85-inch wingspan that he has, like this guy is long as all hell. He just doesn't play like that. You put him in the system, let him just try to develop a little bit. I like Zeke Biggers for this Broncos defense too.
Yeah, he's good. I see that we have Jay Toye down here. I think he's going to go top 120. So this is a little bit of a mistake in the bug in the system. I think you might hear his name called day 2, but Zeke Biggers is good call. He's, I think, the longest arm length of any player in the draft. He's massive. Where are you thinking, Ron?
I'm thinking LaQuint Allen.
Okay, so let's pair these last two because we got two here. Upton Stout, LaQuint. I'm taking over here for just a second, but you got Caleb Johnson in here round 2. That's great. Who the heck is pass protecting for your running back position right now? Lord knows it's not Jaleel McLaughlin. I don't trust Audric Estime out there. LaQuint Allen's one of the best pass protectors in this class. I would love to pair Upton Stout with LaQuint Allen with these last two. Any thoughts, Dylan?
I'm going to go with LaQuint Allen as well. Obviously, you mentioned the pass protection, but also the pass catching ability, something this Broncos offense needs. And since we're coming down to the wire here, that's going to be my pick.
All right. Carl, what do you think?
Yeah, LaQuint Allen is one of my favorite running backs in this entire class, especially that day 3 guy. Like I said, great pass blocker, great as a receiver. I think he set the record for Syracuse receiving yards as a running back. He's got some long speed that you can take advantage of. There's just so much to like about his game. And this is where the advantage of having such a deep running back class pushes guys like him further down than they probably would have gone in other drafts. I would definitely be excited about having him here with the Broncos and paired with Johnson.
Yeah, makes sense to me. I think we should risk it and take Upton Stout here and have LaQuint Allen fall because he's on the next page for this, and there's a lot of running backs left, so that makes the most sense for me. And teams do that all the time. Like, who's going to be there? Who's not going to be there? We're scrolling up, and it does not look like he went, so fantastic. Yeah, still a lot of good running backs left as well, so that is awesome to see for the Broncos. Tootin runs like heck. Marcus Yarns would be great. Taj Brooks. We're going to go down here. We're going to get a bad – very dark horse. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. Ollie Gordon. I mean, this class is ridiculous. Unbelievable amount of running backs, but we need the pass protector here. I don't know if I trust the other ones here. So there we go for the Broncos, guys. Let the draft simulator finish out. I don't know how they'll view all of ours. A, B minus, A plus, A, B minus, C. Top 15%. We get an A overall. Well, the chat gets an A overall. I know not everybody loved the mock, but not everybody's going to love the actual draft. So my favorite pick of this is probably, even though I'm not a big fan of him, like overall, like when the Senior Bowl was going on, like this is ridiculous talking about him going pick 20. Harold Fannin at 122 is a great get. I'd be very excited about him day 3. What do you think, Eric?
Yeah, I mean, Harold Fannin Jr., I think that as we had that conversation with that 85. That to me is just a little rich. If you don't feel like he can fall, then obviously you make that move there and you don't risk it. But with me, with how this tight end room is, the class is, I'm okay waiting on it, seeing if he falls, and if not, pivoting away from him to a different tight end, similar to what we did with where we took Upton Stout and then, risked LaQuint Allen. And if we didn't get Allen, then we could have pivoted off of that. So I like the fact that we got Harold Fannin Jr. And I think at this point, he's actually pretty good value. I mean, it's almost to the point where he's a little underrated as a tight end in this class because, his blocking is such a question mark. There's some character stuff that's question marks, and the fact that he's a slot only tight end, but it's kind of led to him being a little underrated and a little bit of downplaying on just how much there is for him as a receiving tight end.
Yeah. Carl, if you could undo any of these, take full control. This is the Carl regime here. Which one of these would you scrub and change?
I mean, like I said, I was really high on Restrepo there for the round 3 pick. I know nobody else is, but there's something about that guy. I think he's going to have a really good career in the NFL. And I think he'd just be such a good fit for the Broncos. I know he's not quite Peyton's type of wide receiver, but I think he can really make him work. And Knight, I like him. I think of our top 4 picks, he's probably got the hardest path to getting playing time. Fannin can come in on those 2 tight end sets. Caleb Johnson's going to be a starting running back. Nolan's going to be part of a heavy rotation. I think the nice thing about this entire draft is 6 of these 7 picks I think are going to be getting decent playing time. Demetrius Knight depends on some injury things, but about the only one that probably doesn't see the field other than special teams is Stout unless there's an injury. So that is the nice thing is these are immediate impact guys plus long-term investments in what the Broncos need.
Yeah, absolutely. Got it rolling here. Carl, I almost muted you when you said Restrepo. I'm like, let's just kick him. That's I shouldn't have kicked that one to you. Ron, which of these is your favorite pick, and would you change any of them?
Yeah, I would say I don't know if I really have a least favorite. I would say this was a solid draft overall. Just a few nitpicks. Obviously, I was on the Dylan Sampson train. I like him a little tad better than Caleb Johnson. Mm-hmm. And if I were able to have grabbed Isaac Tisla, I think that would have been a good get. I'm a huge Isaac Tisla fan. Man, he and Chisholm are great. So those would have been great picks. But my favorite out of this is LaQuint Allen, just because you mentioned it, Nick, the pass protection. I mean, you turn on his tape and he's out there he just has the awareness for protecting the quarterback, identifying the blitz, and is a great pass catching back. So I would say, yeah, pretty solid draft overall.
Dylan, would you change anything here? What pick if you master the universe, flipping it?
Yeah, so I do love Caleb Johnson a good bit. Obviously, I went with Jack Besh with my pick, but obviously this Broncos team needs a running back. I'm going to go with Ron here. I think I probably would have had Dylan Sampson instead of Caleb Johnson. So then that later you could come back, and one of the guys I like in the later rounds at running back is Ollie Gordon. Obviously, he had a down year this past year, but I just can't look past that production he had in 2023. And I think in this offense, he could do wonders for the team.
He's so weird to watch run. His legs are so long. Like, I don't even like, he's like a power guy, but it's just, I don't know. Lance, anything here? I think, oh man, if I was doing it, I probably would take Quinshon Judkins over Caleb Johnson, but Jacob Parrish too, that pick 85, man, he's a dog. He really reminds me of Mike Sanderson, who was drafted to be a slot, but was so great on the boundary last season.
Yeah, Jacob Parrish is one of my favorites here. I also want to give a shout out to, I mentioned it a couple different times. First off with Malachi Starks. I think the Broncos need to find a safety, and whether it's like a Xavier Watts or a Kevin Winston Jr. in the second round. And obviously Kevin Winston Jr. has that, the torn ACL from this last season, partially torn ACL. It sounds like he's going to be fully cleared for football activities here soon. I went with Caleb Johnson here, not only to appease the masses, but I think that Caleb Johnson fits so well within this scheme. To me, if there's a safety that has range on the back end, a guy that can be a complement to a Brandon Jones, a guy like a complement to a Talanoa Hufanga, who play better closer to the line of scrimmage and moving forward than playing in the back end. One guy I really like is Andrew Makuba. Unfortunately, he didn't fall to us at 85, and that sucks. But overall, I like what we did here. I think that we were very balanced. We addressed a lot of different needs, got a lot of scheme fits for what the Broncos do offensively and defensively in their schematics. So to me, my favorite pick is Caleb Johnson, although I probably would have went in a different direction and added a safety somewhere along the lines.
It's hard once you get the draft rolling, right? Love to add somebody everywhere, but that's how it goes. Michael Ronquillo with the super chat. Great show today. Nick Carl with Lance, Eric, Ron, and Dylan on building the Broncos. Go Bo Broncos. Go you guys. Appreciate it. Roy saying great show. And Old Day saying Tyreek Williams makes more sense than Nolan, in his opinion. Johnson has a good chance to go in the 40s. I saw we had, gosh, how much would the chat have lost their mind, Eric, if we went Walter Nolan at 20 and then took Alfred Collins at 51? Two different body types.
Tyreek Williams was still on the board in that mock at 51 too.
I missed that. Oh my God. Drip.
I might have done it. I don't know. I think we didn't want the chat to go rogue on us here. But appreciate everyone coming in here. Old Day coming in. Where's the Phil super chat? Yeah. Thanks, guys. Love the conversation and knowledge presented. Great show. Yeah. We're going to be here talking a lot of draft. So Thursday and Friday, hopefully I need to re-up on my cherry Ricola lozenges and everything. But other than that, we're doing great. If they want to sponsor the show too, I guess I'm giving them free publicity here, but appreciate everyone. Shout out to the chat coming in today. All the super chats, Papa Bear, Gary coming in from up north there, Casey, Michael Ronquillo, a bunch, Joey Richards, appreciate you, Shiloh, of course, Eric Flynn, Tim Hall with a fun comment as well, David Kilgore, trading up for Genty. Everybody'd love to see it. David Carmelo, great to see you, David. Make sure you guys check out his work. Max, also Canadian, love our Canadian friends. Ben, coming, I don't recognize the name Ben, but the fact that he's in Iowa City, I lived in Iowa City for 6 years, Ben, so appreciate you, hope you're doing well. Boss Man, Mike Gibbons as well, you guys killed it. Shout out to Carl as well. This is normally our show, so appreciate you guys. Carl agreeing to share the platform with everybody else. Eric Trickle, of course, Lance Sanderson, Dylan Von Arx, Ron White. I think we're going to wrap it up. We're already 6 minutes over, so no time for a second mock. Eric, who would have saw that coming? But appreciate everyone. Hope you had a good show. And if you didn't like something in this mock draft, add us on Twitter. It's subjective, right? We'll see. You rewind a year ago. I'll fall on the sword for this one. I thought Bo Nix was a day 2 quarterback.
Yep.
Wrong. Idiot, Nick. And whoever the Broncos take, honestly, like Sean Payton and George Payton have done enough these last 3 offseasons to be like, all right, benefit of the doubt because you boys are killing it. And I'm going to be excited no matter what they do. Honest to God. So appreciate everyone. Broncos going to get better 48 hours from now. We got a lot of work to do over the next 3 days. Yeah, Todd, eat crow, Nick. I'll happily eat crow. The one thing that's worse than eating crow is denying reality. So appreciate you guys. Have a good one. Continue to choose kindness and compassion. And the Mile High Huddle podcast hosts are the best. Appreciate it so much. Hope you guys are having a great one. Kindness and compassion, of course. We'll see you for the draft. Gosh, it's going to be great. Go Broncos.